It is the biggest one that we have ever seen. It is one thing that's interesting that is in it, though, is the lack of money for the district attorney's office in Wake County. Now, Wake County asked for more money. In fact, an early version of the budget included money for 10 new Wake County prosecutors. But the final version, zero. I asked WRAL state government reporter Will Doran about how this happened. Well, let's get right to it. Why wasn't this in the budget?
Well, we asked that exact question to Senate Leader Phil Berger recently. Here's what he had to say.
By the time the budget got to where the Speaker and I were talking about, those issues had pretty much been resolved, and it wasn't on any of the lists that I was working from.
And so you can see he's essentially saying that they just forgot to get around to funding these positions, didn't have the money when it was all said and done, but that they might come back and take another look at this later.
So the district attorney's office in Wake County, held by Democrats, I can't imagine they are buying the whoopsie explanation.
They are not buying this explanation. We also spoke with Senator Sidney Batch, from Wake County, top Democratic leader. She said that Wiley Nickel, likely the incoming DA in Wake County, has campaigned on a platform of ramping up investigations into political corruption cases, which in North Carolina, all of those go through Wake County. And she said that some lawmakers might have a vested interest in making sure that there aren't a lot of prosecutors around to prosecute those kinds of cases.
So perhaps it's maybe a new district attorney who used to be in this chamber, who is a former colleague, who also said that he's going after corruption, and perhaps they don't want him to have 10 more people to come after individuals in this building to investigate.
You called Wiley Nickel the likely district attorney, and that's because he won the Democratic primary. He's running unopposed. He will most likely eventually be the DA. Did you talk to him about this and get his opinion?
Yes, I spoke with him actually just a couple hours ago. He told me that he doesn't want to speculate on why these positions weren't funded in the budget. He hopes that they still end up getting funded. But he did say that regardless of why it happened, it's going to have serious implications for even just public safety in Wake County.
When I want to have someone involuntarily committed, I'm not going to have the staff to do it. And that could mean people in Wake County are more likely to be murdered because of this. That's incredibly dangerous. You should never be playing politics with public safety.
So is this a done deal? Are they going to have to wait for another budget to get these positions filled?
We don't know yet. Every year the legislature runs essentially just a correction bill for fixing all of the errors that they made in the budget. So these positions could pop up in there. They are coming back in late July when we could see that bill come up. So we'll know more then.
All right. Thank you, Will.
Thanks.
Now, look, before we move on, I do have to say, can you believe the accusations Democrats are making here? The Republicans are being shady, that they want to make it harder for people to catch them doing illegal stuff. That's a big accusation. Sounds a little over the top, right? Doesn't it? Although, now that I think about it, was a little strange when Republican lawmakers used the last state budget to exempt themselves from public records requests. That means that if, let's say, we're doing a story on the state government and we ask for emails or texts or calendars or memos or communications with lobbyists or communications with state agencies, back route documents, that kind of thing, they can just say no. It's a special little rule that's just for them, not the governor or cities or counties or school boards or any of those elected leaders, just them, just the legislature, which did give me pause. But they explained. They said they were getting too many broad requests from reporters and watchdogs, and it was slowing things down. So now they can say no to the people who are abusing the system, according to them. And of course, they would never use that power to hide something. That would be cynical to think. Though I should also mention that the wording of the law also gives those same lawmakers personal control over those records, letting them retain, destroy, loan, dispose of, or sell them. Sell them. Now, this is the part where you might come up with some wild hypothetical, like what if a lawmaker sold emails or texts to a lobbyist, put that money in a personal account, and then destroyed the paper trail? But come on, that would be unethical. Maybe illegal. Someone would investigate if that happened. Although, lawmakers also recently made another change that makes campaign finance investigations secret. Not a little private, secret. The complaint is secret. The response is secret. The evidence gathered by investigators is secret. And in many cases, the public may never know anything even happened unless it ends in criminal charges or a conviction. Those are the exceptions. But if there's a settlement, a warning, a quiet resolution, we may never know. Not to mention, any investigation into this, regardless of where the lawmaker is from in the state, would be handled by Wake County, the very place where those same lawmakers forgot to hire more prosecutors for the incoming DA who campaigned on cracking down. But again, to say that they want to hide stuff, I mean, come on. What do you think? Send me an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. What do you think about this story or anything else that we see on the news that you see in your community? Tell us what is on your mind. We'll talk about it right here at 7 o'clock.